think so. Just let you know, I'm extremely nervous public speaking, so if I walk out of here, that's why. Also, this has nothing to do with my restaurants at all, the story I'm going to tell. I was born in 1977 to two adorable 24-year-old people. My dad was in the Army, and my mother was a housewife. And they had exactly 2 kids and a black lab, and we moved kind of all over the country. And then my father left my mother for a different woman. But it's not that kind of story. My mom picked herself up. She moved us into my aunt's basement. She got her master's in education. She became a teacher. And we lived a seemingly normal life until my mom decided to start lying. I think it started with my sister first, who she only ever described as a SIDS baby, which if we know what that acronym is, it's both terrible and also impossible because Katie is alive and in this audience. And then she decided to give her spinal meningitis at one point, though Katie didn't go to the hospital, was never diagnosed with it, and showed no symptoms of it, but we discussed that for like a good solid year. She decided I was going to be a genius, and I spent a lot of time at things called mathematical think-a-thons, which I didn't do, and I also was on like the slowest track of math that they had in my school. And so it started kind of sort of innocently-ish enough, and then she sort of brought out the mothership. And you have to remember, it's just me and my little sister and my mother, and we don't have a whole lot of outside influence. My father's sort of not in the picture at all. My extended family, my mother's figured out how to sort of get rid of. So it's really just us and her. So when she says she's a teacher and we've been to her school, that's true, she is. And when she tells you she is a super secret agent for an agency that she can't even name, the government, you believe her because she tells you she can't tell you the name in case you are captured and tortured for the information. I am 10, and my sister is 4. And this lie does not end until I am a freshman in college. She pulls out all of the stops, and she can like keep it together in a way that I can't even understand looking back on it now. Like, just had it so well thought out, even on the fly. So, for instance, I was always constantly followed by black cars of her secret spooky agent friends. So if I wanted to go out with my friends in high school, she just wanted me to make sure I knew I was being followed at all times, which I totally believed hook, line, and sinker. And because we were told so much that it had to be a secret, I wasn't ever asking anybody what they thought about it. Like, there was people out there who if I had said a word to would be like, this is insane, what are you talking about? But I didn't say anything, because then they might too get tortured if they were captured. She began to get like real into it. We lived in sort of like a hovel, and we had one bathroom, and it was in like off my bedroom. And she came home one day, and she took a bath, and I walked in to pee, and she had a bruise on her leg, and it was a bruise, like just a good solid bruise, but a bruise nonetheless. I asked her what happened, and she tells me she's been shot, like with a gun and a bullet that would penetrate a leg and blood would come out. But I say, oh, okay, and I leave. She comes home one day and she's missing a tooth. She has no other facial bruising at all. We don't leap to the thought that maybe she got it pulled, maybe it rotted right out of her face, or the myriad of things that can happen when you lose a tooth. She says, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I've been punched. And my sister and I are like, oh, okay. And this goes on and on and on. My sister goes to China for a gymnastics thing, and she goes with her coaches and her entire team of 12-year-olds. My mother informs her that the Chinese tour guide bus driver is actually also a secret agent, who she has had the power to plant there just for this vacation Katie is taking. She tells us our whole lives that, of course, she's a trained marksman. She has whatever government-issued gun's been given to her. She's learned how to fly an airplane because she's secretly dating a F-14 pilot out of Canada. And if you're from Westchester, New York, the one thing that that should have been the red flag, because if you're going to have a secret fake boyfriend, he's going to be in Jersey or Canada. But we don't put it together. She flies this plane and also crashes this plane and also walks away from the crash, because that is the type of woman that she is. And all of this, we're eaten right up. My sister's lying in bed one night, and I've actually since gone to college, so this is a secondhand story from her. But this is sort of when it starts breaking down. She is lying in bed sleeping in the middle of the night, and my mother busts into her room, wakes her up, and screams, "Quick, move the dresser." And we had this huge, like, armoire dresser, and my sister helps my mother move it in front of her bedroom door because the people are finally here to come get us. My sister says, "Why didn't you get the gun?" And my mother says, "Shh, they're out there." So my sister and my mother cower in my sister's bed all night long while nobody's out there, and there's a dresser in front of the door. Like, this is how far this woman took this. So I get to college, and I decide, probably partially because it makes me cool, and partially because I'm like just dying to unload the secret, I finally decide that I'm going to tell somebody. And I have this little group of friends, and I decide, like, this is the day. I'm going to tell them everything. We're going to get through it together. And I just tell them story after story after story after story. And they're just sitting there like, no big like gasps or like, "No way, and then what did you do?" It was just sort of like, okay. And at the end, my friend, who then later actually becomes my husband, says, "Ann, you're really cool, but like this whole lying thing is weird." And I realized for the first time that nobody believes me. I'm telling what is my absolute truth, but it's all lies, and they can see that, and I can't, because I've never actually tried to like unpack the story like one by one, which I then decide I'm going to do. So I talk to my sister. I start talking a little bit to my extended family, although I don't like break it all out for them. We just give them like tidbits over years. And Katie and I spend like a decade being like, "So do you think that was true? And like, let's ask Aunt Linda about this, and let's ask Uncle John about this." And we have family members who literally say, "Yeah, we thought about like taking you at one point. We didn't know about the secret agent stuff, but there was a lot of like wackadoo things going on, and I didn't ever think you were at a mathematical think-a-thon. But nobody ever came to get us, don't worry." So we confront her about this too, which she will not discuss. And occasionally she will like kind of give you a little bit and say, "I'm sorry, I don't know why I did that, but I think you're over-exaggerating it, like not a big deal." And because I've realized that like almost everything in my life that I haven't experienced my own self that has come from her, I have to question, honesty for me is huge. And when I look back on what she taught me, being the only person who was teaching me about anything, teaching me about how to get along with people and what's true and what's not, and how people can hurt you with lies and how they can love you with truths. She weirdly taught us that, just not in any sort of conventional way at all. And so I grew up and had 2 kids, and I'm a pretty successful business person. And my sister is doing exactly what she wants to do and runs a nonprofit and donates her entire life to other people. And we talk about how we got here, when essentially we were raised by somebody in an alternate reality. And I think that what we've figured out is that we got out. We got out of the woods. However, we never really know that, because I'm still evolving as a mother, and my kids are only 10 and 11 now. So watch out, guys. Thank you.